Peace and love. My name is Bubbles, and today I'll be speaking about two services that I provide, and one of them being the elemental readings, and the second one being the Bubbly Love Astrology readings, y'all. Okay, so let's start with the elemental readings, right? So, just as a background, about back in 2021, I had bought my first tarot deck, and the deck that spoke to my spirit was not your typical tarot. It was actually this here called the Witch's deck, which the colors are like off now, but it's called the Witch's the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, right? And in this tarot deck, it actually uses elements and animals and different things from nature to share with you the message that is being expressed to you, right? The thing that I love about this tarot is that it's not your typical tarot, like with your high, the priestess and the the cups and all that. However, it does connect you to, like, with each card that you pull, it does tell you what the typical tarot deck is. However, to be quite honest, that is not the tarot that my spirit calls to. The tarot that my spirit calls to is the elements. So for instance, in this tarot deck, it shows you things in nature, different animals, and symbolism through the art. They look like this, right? And it has the major and the minor arcana in here, okay? So with this, with this tarot deck, it's so very special to me because I have received so many messages that have aligned me and empowered me throughout my journey. And specifically back in 2022, let me go back. So when I first got this tarot deck in 2021, I had brought it to I went on a retreat to Puerto Morelos, Mexico, right? And this was still a new deck for me, right? And so I remember just having it as a part of like my just things that I brought there, right? And at this time, I was literally new to tarot, so I was not offering any services or anything like that, right? However, Mexico, if you know, is such a magical place. And it's like the messages that I got there were so clear and just so divine that I was basically led to read tarot when I was there. So the brief story is that I had a sister that I was sharing my room with. It was like this really cute cabin. I was on the top floor, she was on the bottom. And I remember showing her the deck. And then she asked me like, "Oh, Deja, can you do a tarot reading for me?" And me being myself, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. Like, these are still new for me. I've only, done these readings for myself. And then I said, you know what I can do is let's do a group reading, right? And we pulled 3 cards. So I was like, let's do a group reading, and it'll just be a reading for both you and I, right? What ended up happening, y'all, is that literally the 3 cards, one of the cards related to her, the second card related to me, and the third card related to us both. So we were both able to just get so much empowerment and gather so much information from the details that were depicted on the pictures, and just even be able to share amongst one another our, reflections, right? And it just empowered us so much. Then she must have shared this amongst the group that I was on the retreat with. And then I had a sister come up to me like, "Hey Deja, can you do my reading too? Like, I heard you're doing readings." And I'm like, "What?" And when I tell you, when I was there, it just like naturally was happening that people wanted me to do their readings, right? Okay, fast forward. In May 2022, I went to Togo, Africa, and I spent about 3 months there, right? And this was the first time where, I really set the intention to read my tarot like almost every day. I would say that there were a few days that I missed, but like almost every single day, I like faithfully sat and read my tarot. And when I tell you, it brought me so much empowerment, so much truth, so many messages that I needed to receive at that time, that I really enjoyed it. So it just so happened that I ended up having a friend that was going through different things, and they asked me like, hey Deja, like, can you do a reading for me? And this was again for me like, oh, this is like newer to me, so like I'm not going to charge you or anything. Like I'm going to do the reading for you because you're my friend and I would like to support you and empower you in whatever way that I can, right? So I did the reading for him. He ended up just telling me how much empowerment that he gained from that experience of what came up. And when I tell you, I would read the tarot and I would just get these messages, and he just resonated with everything I was saying to him, and it really helped him empower himself and pick himself up from the place he was at, right? Second, told one of my other friends about it. Then he's like, oh, well, Deja, can you do my reading too? Right? The interesting thing about when I was in Africa is that the 4 different readings I did were all males, right? And this was newer for me to even do like male readings, right? Because like I said, in the past I did sisters. So I'm like, of course, like I got you. So we sat down, we actually did like a WhatsApp live, and I, intentionally fasted that rising, and I just really like cleared my space, my energy, and set the intention to do the reading for him. Again, he just told me how much the messages that I shared with him resonated, and that he actually had readings in the past that they said similar things to what I was telling him. In addition to that, it was again messages that was coming up, and it was something that I never read before. But it just like came to me, and then he ended up like looking up some of the stuff that I said to him. He's like, yo, you were spot on about this. Like, remember when you said this? He's like, yo, it came up when I was looking deeper into my astrology chart. And I was like, hey, like I'm just a messenger, yo. And I'm like, thank you so much. Okay, cool. Number 3, then there was another brother. I'm like telling them about like me doing the readings for my friends and stuff like that. Again, he's like, yo, can you do my reading? And I'm like, sure, of course, like let's do it. So I ended up doing the same thing. We had a WhatsApp meeting and I did his reading, and he was again empowered by the messages I gave him. And he said the same thing. He's like, yo, I had a reading years ago, and what you're saying is literally like what this reading, like this reader, astrologist, was saying to me. And I'm just like, I'm just the messenger. However, in these experiences, it brought me so much power because I found myself to be newer to astrology readings, which was, of course, why I wasn't like charging for it as well. I'm just like, yeah, I'm new to this. And I was kind of second guessing myself. But each time that these individuals shared with me, like how much it meant to them and how much it resonated with them and brought them empowerment, it brought me empowerment as well, right? Fast forward, 4th person, another male. He ended up writing me, y'all, and he was just like, hey Bubbles, like I feel like you would know someone. Like, do you happen to know someone that does readings? I was like, actually the past few weeks I've been doing readings. And then he's like, yeah, well, how much? And I'm like, honestly, I'm not really charging now because I'm like new to this and stuff. And he's like, all right, he's like, now I want to give you something or whatever. But he's just like, okay, like, can you do the reading for me? So I'm just like, yeah, of course. So I ended up doing the reading for him, and he was so empowered by it. He's like, nah, Bubbles, like, I'm gonna send you something for this. And that was my first time, my 4th person. He sent me like $40. That was my 4th person, and he paid for the reading because it brought him so much empowerment, y'all. And I remember just how happy I felt because ever since a little girl I've been into astrology, and ever since a little girl I've gotten messages, and I just never knew that this was something that I could provide as a service, y'all. So it was very empowering to me. Okay, now fast forward about a year ago, growing up, I've always been into like Asian culture, watching anime, and just I always used to make the joke, like, yeah, I was Asian in a past life and stuff like that. And it's just always, the culture has just always resonated with me, both Chinese and Japanese culture, really just the whole vibe of Asian culture, like, right? So, about a year ago, I was in Barnes and Nobles, and this specifically, this I-Ching, it kept coming up for me, like I-Ching, I-Ching, it kept coming up for me. And then it was specifically these coins. I'll even tell you the magical story about how when I was with my bro Rom, okay, we actually had like Thai food and stuff like that. I feel like it was around my birthday. So we had Thai food, and now I'm thinking about it. This was, I believe, 2 years ago now. So we had some Thai food, and I happened to have one of these I-Chings. At the moment, I didn't know what an I-Ching coin was. I didn't even know that it was used for I-Ching. Uh, this is an ancient Chinese divination. So I didn't even know anything about this. However, I just so happened to have one because I believe I found it somewhere. And we went to that Thai restaurant, and I actually gave one as an offering to the deity that was there, right? It was like a, it was, yeah, it was a, like a, I don't know the name of the deity, but it was a deity that I gave the offering to. That very next day was the day that I was in Barnes and Nobles, and I ended up seeing this I-Ching, and my spirit called to it. It was like, buy this. It was like, buy this. Actually, come to think of it, it was, I still have the price on it because it was $12, and 12 is 3. So I'm very much into numerology, and also like my birthday is 330. My life path number is 3. So threes are just very magical to me. And then 12, even like so much magic. So I felt cold. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy this. So I ended up buying it, and then I opened it, and I had 3 of these, y'all. 3 of these. So listen to the magic. How just the day before I gave one of these, the only one I had, as an offering, and the very next day I got 3 back. So it showed me the power of when you give offerings, that you get it back in abundance, y'all. You get it back in abundance. Now fast forward, I started reading the I-Ching, right? So the I-Ching is also called the Book of Changes, which I find to be so powerful, because what is one thing that is constant in life is change, right? We cannot expect to have a life that does not include change. So this specific divination is so magical because it actually goes into like lines, right? It shows you 2 different trigrams, and the trigrams are 3 lines and 3 lines, so it's a total of 6 lines, right? And each trigram represents an element, y'all, an element, right? We'll get into that, but they each represent an element, and then they tell you like a message that you're supposed to be communicated at that time. And y'all, when I tell you, this I-Ching has brought me so much empowerment, and the messages be so real that, to be quite honest, there's certain times where I literally was going through things and I did not want to pick up the I-Ching, because I'm like, it's so spot on that it's like, it could be scary. And I'm like, why is these cards talking to me like that right now? Like, it's so on point. However, passing that fear, being in my power, I'm like, I have to read these. I have to continuously do these I-Ching readings, because it's literally giving me messages that are so powerful. And growing up, I had no idea about I-Ching, and I'm still learning, because it's so much to learn about I-Ching, because it's like 66 or 67. Let me double check. Oh, excuse me, 64. It's 64 different hexagrams, which is the combination of 2 trigrams. So it's 64 different hexagrams. So I'm still learning. However, because it is connected to elements, it is very powerful for me, because something about astrology, right, is that typically we always hear people talk about like you know, your sun sign is in this, so you're this way. Oh, your sun sign is in this, so you're this way, right? And I know that I'm not the only person who does not resonate with that. Sometimes you're like, that's not even me. I don't even act like that, right? There's a reason for this, right? Because that is just telling you one out of your 12 signs. That is just telling you one elemental part of your signs. Like, you are a whole being. You are not just one thing. So your sun sign literally represents the sun part of you, right? Like, it's not everything that you are. So when we dig deeper into our astrology charts, it truly brings us empowerment, because we can deep dive, and then we can also even look deeper than the elements. Oh, excuse me. We can look deeper than the astrology names. We can actually look at the elements, and what is all around life is elements, y'all. Elements. And the truth of the universe about balance. There will be no up without down. There will be no right without left. So everything is full circle, 360 degrees, as Sister Myra Moore says, right? Which is like a profound teacher. Y'all should check her out. Look her up on YouTube. Okay, so everything is 360, everything is full circle. So looking at the elements is so important and so powerful. And I realized that for me, the way that I understand life is through the elements. So, with these two readings that I'm offering, we are tapping into the elements of nature, how it literally reflects you, what is being told, what do you need at that moment, whether it's groundedness, you know, for your earth, whether it's fire, initiative, movement, action, right? Or whether it's water, flow, adaptability, right? Or air, intuition, communication, right? Y'all, it's so powerful, and I'm so passionate about it. So what happened was, I started to offer this to some of my closest friends. Like, all right, I want to really tap more into these elements. I want to start doing readings. So let me just do like some more services for my friends, like free of charge. So as I started to do that, I actually found these two classes that I'd taken from Professor Melanie. Check her out as well, Spiritual Ascensions University. She has her own online school platform. Like, it's divine, y'all. Just check it out. It's on YouTube. She's also on Instagram. Now, I invested in these two classes that, no, now we're moving on. So we're moving on more to the Bubbly Love astrology readings, okay? So with these two classes, I invested in these two classes, and one of the classes, it shows you basically how to break down your astrology chart and find your soul's mission. And I'll be quite honest, when I first seen it, I'm like, well, I feel like I'm in my purpose. I know what my purpose is. So I'm just like, what exactly is this about? Y'all, when I followed spirit and I ended up investing in that class, even though I am in my purpose and I have been in my purpose, when I tell you the information that just confirmed the things that I'm doing and who I am, it brought me so much power, so much power. Deeper than that, let me tell you, the second class that I invested in is about your Chiron, which is actually about trauma. The thing is, for the past 3-4 years now, I have been holding space, specifically Bubbly Love workshops, that taps into your childhood trauma. Okay, your childhood trauma. And this again was connecting to my own trauma. And when I read it, and I'm like, son, and I've been doing this work, I was like, yes, it brought me so much power, so much power, so much power, right? Okay, boom. So I decided to start a service, and I was like, okay, I would like to start a service where I connect these things that I learned in these courses, and then also add my own like flavor to it, right? Ends up that what came to me when I was doing like a reading for someone is that when I was getting the messages for them, because I used to write it down like with my hand and send it to them, as I'm getting the messages, everything is like elemental, like, and I'm understanding things through the elements, and it's like, yeah, this, that elemental, and I'm just like, yes, yes, and yes. That's how Spirit said elemental readings. Okay. Bubbly love astrology readings. The reason why I name it that is because it connects to all of the work I've been doing for self love, and bubbly means happy. So, what brings you happy love for yourself? Okay, right? So Bubbly Love Astrology readings goes even deeper, right? And it literally breaks down the chart in your elements, using your elements that are in your chart. And something that came to my spirit is like, hey, I know that there's so many people who like invest in readings and stuff like that, and you may feel empowered for a few days, but then after that you're like, well, what do I do now, right? Spirit was like, create an action plan. Create an action plan that is customized to this individual. Okay, an action plan customized to this individual so that they continuously have power amongst their journey. So if they're ever led astray somewhere, no, you don't have to book another reading. Go back to that action plan that I sent, right? That also includes practical exercises, and the practical exercises are actually art therapy, which is something that I've been practicing for the past few years, and I didn't even know there was a name for it. Okay, and I recently taken a class to be certified as an art therapist practitioner. Okay, so let's review. The Bubbly Love astrology readings taps into it looks at your natal chart. Okay, and then I am able to tell you your soul's purpose dependent on where things are lined up in your chart. Number two, I am able to look at your Chiron, which represents your trauma, and I provide an action plan on how do you heal this trauma? How do you work on this trauma, right? And that action plan also includes a breakdown of the elements that are in your chart. So you know what you have least of, you know what you have most of. So when you know that, you can know what energies, what elements to tap into. And now I also provide art therapy, okay? Art therapy practical exercises that you can do to tap into these elements, y'all. So literally this reading is $44, and basically I'm giving away the soul mission and the Chiron workshop, the two that I learned, for free. And that third one that I'm doing, as far as the elements and the action plan and the art therapy, you're literally getting 3 readings for one price, y'all. And I told myself, like, I'm going to start it at this because I want it to be easily accessible to people. And I also want people to gain an understanding of what this is, okay? So, with that being said, if you are ready to be empowered, okay, empowered and enhance, okay, enhance the actions that you are taking, the actions that you are doing towards your soul's mission and towards finding your balance, book in a Bubbly Love astrology reading, or we can even do I-Ching, okay, or a witch tarot deck reading, right, which will be a bit more simplified, and it will tell you exactly the messages that you need to have at that moment. But everything comes back down to the elements in balance. Everything is balance. Everything that is the truth of the universe is balance. That is the truth of the universe. A woman and a man comes together to have a child. That is creation. That is God. That is the balance. Okay. And even when it comes to feminine and masculine energy, that is the balance. Everything comes back down to balance, y'all. So for an I-Ching or a witch tarot deck reading, it's going to be $22. Or if you want a combination of both, $33. And if you want a Bubbly Love astrology reading, that is your soul mission, your Chiron slash trauma, and third, your action plan and your art therapy exercises to tap into that action plan in your elemental charts of what is present, then that is $44. Y'all, I'm so passionate about this. Like, it empowers me to empower you. It empowers me to use the gifts that I have, okay, to empower others. What I realize is that we have gifts that we tap into so very naturally that we don't realize that these are gifts. Ever since a little girl, I was able to read energy. I was able to read the energy of a room without anyone speaking. And sometimes people are like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I just felt it. I felt it, like I received the message. Sometimes the message is in words, or sometimes it's just in a feeling. It just depends on the situation and the time. But this has always been a gift of mine, and to be able to turn this into a service that helps others is so very fulfilling for me, so very fulfilling. And to be into astrology ever since a little girl, like, I just thought it was an interest that I had and that I was into. And even for readings, doing readings for people, to literally, I didn't go out looking to do readings for people. It came to me. People came to me. Growing up, people always came to me for advice and counsel, and I've just always intuitively told them, like, yeah, this and that, and like, you know, and I'm just always communicating, channeling, communicating. For a while, didn't even want to call it channeling, because I'm like, oh, this is like a trend now. And I realized, I'm like, but this has always been my life. This has always been my life. So tap into your gifts and do not force yourself to do something that is not in resonance with you. Not everyone is meant to read tarot just because you're spiritual. Not everyone is meant to tap into these realms, because it can be dangerous when you're tapping into something that you don't know how to protect yourself. And you also don't want to ever give someone some wrong information. Like, that's the thing. I seen something before where somebody was giving readings, and they basically said, like, they had a disclaimer, and there was like, we are not responsible for any wrong information that is given. How do you sit and empower someone with wrong information given? Again, I am just acting as a messenger, because I am in my divine purpose, and I know this, okay? But someone who is just tapping into energies that they are not supposed to can give you wrong information, and that will confuse you. And if something confuses you, that is not empowering you, that is doing the very opposite. So are you ready to be empowered? And enhance what you are already doing, and just seek some type of counsel, some type of guidance, okay? Because this is literally a part of my soul mission, and me doing my own work is empowering you in this way, is teaching you in this way, is counseling you in this way. So, get your elemental reading today. Get your Bubbly Love astrology reading today. The link is in my bio. See you there. Peace.